name's Geeg Wiles, and I'm here to talk about him. This is Captain Ahab. He's a 3-foot-tall, 40-pound, bright yellow wooden fisherman slash wannabe pirate captain, hence the Jolly Roger. And if he can get out and do the things that I'm about to show you, then you have no reason not to commandeer your own life. Though I don't know Captain Ahab's true origins, that's us at the Grand Canyon. I don't know his true origins. I do know the last 75 years of his life. That is because before I became his caretaker was my grandfather. The first memory of my grandfather is shared with this statue. Actually, every memory of my grandfather is shared with this statue. It made for some pretty embarrassing moments on the playground, but that all changed by my 10th birthday. That's us at the Dew Tour in Killington, when it used to be in Killington, Vermont. My birthday, July 18th, is on my favorite day of the year, but not because of my date of birth. My grandfather always threw a huge hootenanny in July since before I was born, and after I was born, it only got bigger. Growing up, I always thought all these strangers that's us kissing the Blarney Stone a couple years ago. I always thought all these strangers, who were my grandfather's naval war buddies, came from all over the place to celebrate my birthday, but really it was to celebrate the anniversary of when they commandeered their captain, Ahab. It was a common naval prank back in World War II. That's us getting tattoos. It was a common naval prank back in World War II to get quite inebriated before leaving on tour. And then you go out and commandeer something, and it would become a stowaway on your ship. And then you would take pictures, plaster it with cargo stickers, write some letters. And the idea was, after your tour was over, you'd bring it back and it'd have a scrapbook. So you bring it back to the house, knock on the door, hide in the bushes. That's my grandfather and his war buddies the night before it happened. And then the parents of said lawn ornament would come to the door. They'd see the scrapbook, start flipping through it, and say, "Hey, Mom and Dad, sorry I joined the Navy. Here's my adventure," basically. And they'd be happy that he took off on them for a little while. But after each of these hootenannies I was talking about, after they died out, that's us skydiving 2 weeks ago. After the hootenannies died out, there was a super secret high-stakes card game that my grandfather and his buddies used to play. They'd all throw in X amount of money and have a suitcase back by the door. When the game was over, the winner didn't win the pot. They'd win the chance to pick a destination, and for the next week they'd be gone on an adventure. That's us searching for treasure in the Caribbean this winter. That's where we stayed. It's in St. John. So I said I was embarrassed about them until my 10th birthday, because on the night of my 10th birthday I finally stumbled upon this high-stakes card game, and they let me sit in for the first time. I watched and listened to decades of stories behind. That's the Red Bull Flute Dog. It's a flying machine sort of race. We built a pirate ship, and it crashed and burned pretty hard, actually, up the ramp. I got to listen to all the stories about Captain Ahab and how he was a part of my grandfather's life, which I knew so little about. And in return for all these stories, they had a little kid to make them drinks, basically. That's on Alcatraz, one of our cross-country trips. We got locked up for a little bit. So after my 10th birthday, for the next 9 years, I counted down the days to these gatherings. And even though it was the same war stories year after year, it felt like the more I heard them, the more I was a part of them. By my 19th birthday, I had a few core friends of my own, and we used to play cards at the other end of the table. That's Bryce Canyon. And that night ended like any other, except for the next morning is when everything changed. I came downstairs to clean up the mess they usually left, and they were all still sitting there at the card table. Before I could ask why they were still here, my grandfather handed me an envelope and told me, since Ahab and I share a very special date in their lives, it's the world's largest ball of twine in Kansas. Since we share a very special date in their lives, it's only fitting that we share in the adventures to follow it. So take the winnings from last night's game, wake up your friends, put Ahab in the car, and start driving. So for the last 14 years, we've done just that. That drive was our first road trip, and soon we were back at university. He's a hit at weddings. I brought him back to university with me, and now I had a 3-foot-tall, 40-pound, bright yellow wooden fisherman slash wannabe pirate captain doorstop. And naturally, he drew attention, and when anybody asked about him, I would trade that much of the story for a picture, and I'd hang these pictures on the wall in my apartment. Right there, oh, perfect timing. So that's the mural. And it was clear that Ahab was a perfect icebreaker, but it wasn't until after university, when we actually got out and really traveling, that I knew just how much of a conversation piece he actually was. He wasn't just a prop that a couple college kids had that was amusing to everybody. Everywhere we went, that's us zip lining. Everywhere we went, people let the curiosity get the better of themselves, and it led to asking about the story behind the statue. Which brings us to today. The picture wall evolved into a website where everyone we meet can share in the adventures. In a flash, things snowballed into speaking engagement, group adventures, and an ongoing bucket list, which keeps evolving as we network out. So he's literally flown first class. I haven't done it yet. I never thought this unique family heirloom, which brought me so much embarrassment as a child, would be my figurehead as an adult. My grandfather and his friends told me so many of their tales around that card table. That's us whitewater rafting. But I never really understood any of them until I started traveling with him. He brings out the positive in people and who we meet, and the world is so much more positive, and the possibilities are endless because of this. We turn strangers into friends that become part of our unique ongoing story. And honestly, that's my favorite part. It's everybody's favorite picture for some reason. But that's my favorite part. We never know when we'll meet the next person that helps Ahab's adventures evolve. But I look forward to every stranger that becomes our friend and a fan of Captain Ahab, because it was a story from a once group of strangers that started my journey. This is everywhere we've been so far. So why not let our story be the start of yours? Cheers. So you guys can feel free to come find us and take pictures and share stories or whatever you want to talk about with us. That's so I don't forget to take them out of here. And if I should have about 20 seconds left. I think I'm going to go up there and take a picture of everybody if you don't mind.